Well, hello, Gaston County. Welcome to our 2024 Christmas episode. If you're a regular listener, you know that we typically around holidays, at least recently, we have had special episodes based on whatever the holiday is, and we're going to do the same today. We did this last Christmas in 2023, but going to be a little different this year. I think last year we read The Grinch.
Yep.
And part of the Charlie Brown Christmas, I think is what we did. So we got a couple stories we're going to share, but also a little Christmas trivia, which we have done. And I don't know if you can hear that in the background. We have a train going by our great soundproof location here at GSM Services. But as usual, we appreciate all of our listeners, and we're going to try to finish the year off here with a good special episode. And we have Amy Anderson with us, who is our marketing director here at GSM. And then, of course, Naomi is on the soundboard and not on camera.
And we have Max.
Yes, apparently we have Max here to my right. If you are listening, you can't see Max, but if you go to YouTube, you'll be able to see Max in all his glory, which is our new mascot here at GSM. So I hope everyone is having a good holiday season so far. And we're going to get right to it, unless, Amy, do you have anything to add about Christmas before we get started? Since I told you I wasn't going to ask you any questions beforehand.
No, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Naomi, have you watched any Christmas movies since last year, since you said you don't watch Christmas movies? Which I find that odd still. But you watched Elf, right?
No.
Okay, so that was really good. So we're going to start right into our Christmas trivia, and we're going to go through a few of these because this is really important stuff here. So, Amy.
Yep.
Why did Santa go visit the psychiatrist? Why did Santa go visit the psychiatrist?
I don't know.
He had low elf esteem.
Dun-dun-dun.
Thank you. All right. A few more, then we'll get into our first story. Naomi, what kind of motorcycle does Santa ride? What kind of motorcycle does Santa ride? That would be a Harley Davidson. What happened to the man who stole the Advent calendar? This one's easy. What happened to the man who stole the Advent calendar?
He disappeared. What?
He got 25 days.
Ooh.
You think Amy even understands that at all?
Yeah, I do.
All right, couple more. What does Santa suffer from if he gets stuck in a chimney? What does Santa suffer from if he gets stuck in a chimney?
Claustrophobia.
Wow, that is correct. Claustrophobia. I am shocked. Of course, these are all, I think, on our own hold messaging.
I promise I have not heard that before.
What do you call Rudolph if he went blind? What do you call Rudolph if he went blind?
Something red.
No idea.
Oh.
No idea, you get it? No idea.
That's good.
All right.
Good.
So that was such a successful section of our podcast. We're going to go ahead to our first story. And it is the Christmas season, and we do around here, at least me personally, I try to remember the reason for the season. There's a great poem, I've read it before, by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow called The Three Kings. And so that's what we're going to read first, in keeping with the season. So if you've never heard this, I would encourage you to go look it up and read it for yourself, because I may mispronounce something in here. So my apologies if that's so. I know all our many listeners out there, please don't send in and call in to correct me on my pronunciations. But this is The Three Kings from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Three kings came riding from far away, Melchior and Gaspar and Balthasar. Three wise men out of the east were they, and they traveled by night and they slept by day, for their guide was a beautiful, wonderful star. The star was so beautiful, large and clear, that all the other stars of the sky became a white mist in the atmosphere. And by this they knew that the coming was near of the prince foretold in the prophecy. 3 caskets they bore on their saddle bows, 3 caskets of gold with golden keys. Their robes were of crimson silk with rose, of bells and pomegranates and furbelows, their turbans like blossoming almond trees. And so the three kings rode into the west, through the dusk of the night, over hill and dale. And sometimes they nodded with beard on breast, and sometimes talked as they paused to rest, with the people they met at some wayside well. Of the child that is born, said Balthasar, good people, I pray you, tell us the news, for we in the east have seen his star, and have ridden fast and have ridden far, to find and worship the King of the Jews. And the people answered, you ask in vain, we know of no king but Herod the Great. They thought the wise men were men insane, as they spurred their horses across the plain, like riders in haste who cannot wait. And when they came to Jerusalem, Herod the Great, who had heard this thing, sent for the wise men and questioned them, and said, go down unto Bethlehem and bring me tidings of this new king. So they rode away, and the star stood still, the only one in the gray of morn. Yes, it stopped, it stood still of its own free will, right over Bethlehem on the hill, the city of David where Christ was born. And the three kings rode through the gate and the guard, through the silent street, till their horses turned, and neighed as they entered the great inn yard, but the windows were closed and the doors were barred, and only a light in the stable burned. And cradled there in the scented hay, in the air made sweet by the breath of kine, the little child in the manger lay, the child that would be king one day, of a kingdom not human but divine. His mother, Mary of Nazareth, sat watching beside his place of rest, watching the even flow of his breath, for the joy of life and the terror of death were mingled together in her breast. They laid their offerings at his feet. The gold was their tribute to a king. The frankincense with its odor sweet was for the priest, the paraclete, the myrrh for the body's burying. And the mother wondered and bowed her head, and sat as still as a statue of stone. Her heart was troubled yet comforted, remembering what the angel had said of an endless reign and of David's throne. Then the kings rode out of the city gate with the clatter of hoofs in proud array, but they went not back to Herod the Great, for they knew his malice and feared his hate, and returned to their homes by another way. So, there you have it. The Three Kings by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. There may be some historical inaccuracies, but it is a poem, so take it for what it's worth. So I would encourage you again to go out and take a listen to that. Or find that and take a read of it yourself. So, Amy, what'd you think of that?
It was great.
Wow, we really get down to the depths of analyzing this stuff great here on Gaston's Great, don't we, Naomi? So speaking of that, we're going to get right to some more little known but true trivia about Christmas. I'm not sure we should follow a story about the Three Kings with this, but this is what we're doing. So, Naomi, what do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa? What do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa? A rebel without a clause. See, there's an old movie called A Rebel Without a Cause. Probably didn't know that, did you? What did Adam say on December 25th?
Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve. But, okay, that was close. That was. I'll give you partial credit for that one, Amy. All right. What do you call an obnoxious reindeer? What do you call an obnoxious reindeer?
I don't know.
That would be Rudolph. Rudolph, get it?
No.
Okay. Okay, last one. Our listeners will be grateful that this is the last one, I'm sure. What weather forecast did Mrs. Claus give Santa? What weather forecast did Mrs. Claus give Santa?
I have no clue.
It's going to rain, dear.
I like it. That's cute. That's cute.
Reindeer pulled a sleigh.
I can't wait to tell these to my family.
I'm sure they've all, you have to tell them because they've all checked out if they were listening to the first part of the podcast. They've all decided to move on to better things this Christmas. So, all right. So this is actually the real reason we decided to do a Christmas episode. The creative team here at GSM, I know one of the most famous stories that is typically read to kids. I can't believe I just said that. Typically read to kids at Christmas is The Night Before Christmas. And you know what? I'm embarrassed to say I have forgotten who the author is of the original story. However, their creative team here at GSM has come up with The Night Before Christmas in Gaston County. Mm-hmm. So this is, hopefully, you will enjoy this, and then we'll finish up with a couple more things and then let everybody get on to celebrate Christmas with their families. But here goes The Night Before Christmas in Gaston County. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through Gaston towns, not a creature was stirring, not even downtowns. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children of Belmont were snug in their beds, while visions of snow at Daniel Stowe Gardens danced in their heads. And Mama in her ghost peppers tea had just brewed coffee from wandering cups beam. When out by the Dream Center there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my chair to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew in an F3 dash, just missing a train near the Mount Holly tracks. The moon on the crest of Crowder's Mountain so high gave the sparkle of moonlight to the Gaston night sky. But what to my wondering eyes did appear but a red Tyndall pickup and 8 tiny deer. With a driver so jolly in jeans and plaid thick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick's. More rapid than swimmers from Gaston Aquatics at play, he whistled and hollered to guide his sleigh. On Cherville, on Stanley, on Cramerton glide, now Lowell, now Dallas, now McAdenville pride. Past the river at Spencer Mountain, climb the trees tall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves on the breeze from the South Fork fly, they race toward the rooftops of old downtown high. Through our YMCAs, where lights twinkled bright, they soared over GSM, a magical sight. And then with a jingling I heard on the roof, the pawing and prancing of each rhino's hoof. As I stepped from the window and spun right around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He wore a green jacket from a Green Wave alum, and his pockets were full of Tony's ice cream and crumbs. A bundle of gifts from Community Foundation stores for Huskies and Jaguars in the homes he adores. His eyes, how they sparkled like Lake Wiley's waves, his cheeks like the roses at Limeburger's sprays. His beard like a king where Rotarians meet, and his laugh warmed the room like a Caramont Park seat. He pulled out some gifts wrapped in red and gold bows, tickets to plays at the Little Theater shows. And just for the kids, he left symphonic band instruments galore, a nod to the history of Holy Angels lore. He didn't say much, but he worked with United Way care, filling stockings with treats from the farmer's market fair. Then patting his pocket and tugging his hat, he winked toward the window and gave a quick pat. He sprang to his truck, revved the old engine loud, and zipped through the streets past the Shield Museum crowd. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas, Gaston County, and to all a good night." Well, there you have it. The first ever public reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas in Gaston County."
That was great. Good job.
Well, we will never, our podcast,
this is going viral.
our podcast might get canceled after this episode. So, I'm not sure how to follow that. Actually, I enjoyed putting that together. So as usual, I'm going to finish with my books and my quotes. The quotes are going to be repeated, but The books, something I do and I've done for several years, starting on December 1st every year. I personally happen to read the Gospel of Luke. There happens to be 24 chapters. So if you start on December 1st, you'll finish on, if you read a chapter a day, you'll finish on December 24th, which is when we happen to be recording today. So I'll finish that up today. And another book I've read within the last few years, and it's more famous probably from the movie, Ben-Hur, which is the full title of the book is Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ by Lew Wallace. And it's a really unique story, and it ties in with the Three Kings, because that's actually how the book and the movie starts, is the Three Kings following the star of Bethlehem. So I would encourage you to read those too. I mean, most people probably don't realize that movie and book is a tale of the Christ. And my quotes, these are two quotes that I share the week before Christmas and the week of Christmas every year. The first one is from one of my favorite movies around that you see played over and over around Christmas. It's A Wonderful Life. And Clarence, the guardian angel, said, "Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. He leaves an awful hole when he's not around, doesn't he?" I particularly like that quote because I think it's about significance. I think so many of us don't realize the impact that we have on others, both positive and negative, if we're not careful, but we do have a significant impact on those around us. And then the quote I typically share this week of Christmas comes from one of my other favorite stories and what we read last year from Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Grinch said, "Maybe Christmas," the Grinch thought, "doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more." So there you have it. This is our Christmas episode 2024. Is there anything, Amy, in all your vast wisdom, or Naomi, that you would like to add to finish off this episode?
I think you did great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And listen, as always, we appreciate all of our listeners. And I think every year you get toward the end of the year, you reflect on the year, you look ahead to the next year. We are still planning to continue recording podcasts. Who knows if the format's going to stay the same? It might change. It might not. We still have a couple guests scheduled. But we are, frankly, listeners out there, if you have an organization, an individual, or somebody who is doing good work in the community, please reach out to us. We would love to talk to them. So again, from everybody here at GSM Services, especially myself, Naomi, and Amy, we hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will talk to you again in 2025.